what came to me for the first time when I saw Pam Bondi is she's not in lockstep. She's just not in lockstep because everything, have you noticed the cabinet, they'll move and they'll kind of move together and they're all kind of doing the same thing and they're all at the same place. I thought we were getting another phase from the cabinets and she hadn't, I don't think she even coordinated that. I mean, she says she did, but with Kash Patel? Do you think that was coordinated with Kash Patel? I don't think so.
No. If you look at Pam Bondi's history in the Republican Party, how to put this delicately?
Just say it.
I'm not any good at that, so I won't. It's not typically rolling with people like us. And there is a wing of Republican politicians in the last few years who have figured out if I say a few magic phrases where Donald Trump is concerned, everyone's going to forget everything I did prior to 2015.
And you think that's what she did and that's why she was chosen?
And I think that she got caught, frankly, playing a role that maybe she doesn't sincerely understand, believe in, and it got way over her skis and understood that this is not performative art. People are taking this very seriously.
Let me go to Matt. Quick. Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
Just to double over on what Steve is saying. Certainly multiple sources in Washington, D.C. who really should know, and I believe there are already public articles about this, have said, the White House had nothing to do with this. Like this was all DOJ, basically all Pam Bondi putting all this stuff out in the way that happened. So you have multiple sources saying DOJ did this. And so that just proves Steve's point that this really just came from Bondi sort of playing a 2015 playbook.
But to go through and use a sports term, you have to say this is an unforced error, Glenn. When you look at it, she could have gone through, she could have had step by step. But remember what RFK Jr. was saying when he was going through the confirmation process, because a lot of people had questions about RFK and if he was actually going to follow what Trump wanted him to do. And he said, it's not about what I want. This is not my agenda. I am going to follow Donald Trump's agenda. And that's something that Pam Bondi needs to learn, is that you can't go out, you can't go rogue, you can't go off doing your own thing. You have to play within this sandbox right now that he has provided you.
So is it just me? Because I feel like you guys are saying two things. One, she blew it. Two, she wanted to blow it. She's not going to follow that way. I wouldn't say she
wanted to blow it. I think sometimes you suck at things when you are playing a part maybe you really don't understand or believe in.
But she's the key. That is the position.
And I will give her credit because also the previous Republican playbook would have been just to forget Thursday ever happened, move on. It's not like we don't have 75 other crises that are legitimate for us to focus on. Yet she's back out there again doing interviews saying, hey, no, I'm going to pursue this. We got the resignation of the guy. So hey, you know what? I'm a born again. I'm a sucker for a redemption arc. I'll give her a chance to prove herself. But I think one thing that she could do to show her sincerity, and I said this on my show today, in any transaction, sometimes you put money in escrow or you give a down payment. It's a good faith gesture for the other side to see that you absolutely plan on going to the end of this, right? Just give us one name then. Really, I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison for life for human trafficking. Well, you cannot have a human trafficker without human traffickee.
Yes.
All right, so she can't be in there for human trafficking to nobody. All right, so just give us one confirmed name. It can even be somebody we already probably know and suspect, like a Prince Andrew, for example, that they don't have jurisdiction to prosecute as a foreign citizen, but give us one name, something that demonstrates that she is going to follow through on this time. It's the department she oversees that put the DOJ that put Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for life. It's her department that did that. All right. So the idea that she has a complete and total jurisdiction, give us one name just to show a nice down payment. I'm going to follow through on this.
That's a really, I think that's a really good idea. I should have known. Remember, we were on the air and she was saying it's going to come out. It's going to come out. It's going to come out. And it wasn't allowed to come out until the Prime Minister of England left. And what I thought at the time was, holy cow, it may come out. They don't want this to come out while the Prime Minister of England, Prince Andrew. But I actually think maybe it's the opposite of that. I think it is she was not coordinated at all with the White House. and the White House said, you're doing what today? Well, at least wait until the prime minister, because she was taking the news away from what he wanted the news to be, knowing that he was going to meet with Zelensky.
I think you'll notice who is very quiet when it comes to this story. The mainstream.
Kash Patel?
He is, but for very different reasons than those who I'm about to bring your attention to. The mainstream media is extremely quiet about this story. They're doing almost nothing besides cursory coverage of this story. And the reason why they're being very quiet about this is because they were successful in distracting the American people who are very hungry for corruption to be exposed. They're distracting the American people with, I don't want to say a silly story. I understand why people are frustrated about what happened on Thursday. Believe me, I'm also frustrated about what happened on Thursday, to put it lightly. But they're distracting with that conversation from a story that is most likely as big as, if not bigger than, the Russia collusion hoax.
Oh, yeah.
The story was, and when I posted this on Thursday afternoon, the last time I checked, 57 million people had read this. People care about the real story. The real story is there are deep state agents in the FBI, specifically in the Southern District of New York, and no, it is not just
there.
It's not just there, but it's also not just the person at the top who was forced to resign. It's much deeper than that, who are defying the President of the United States, obstructing the Attorney General, and trying to subvert the will of the American voter.
I said
that is a story.
Oh, yeah.
That we should not get distracted from.
I will tell you that on Friday, I mean, I said to Stu, when he came in and I was preparing the show, and he sat down and he's like, so what crazy thing are we doing today? And I said, I'm going to use a word in the constitutional context that I have never used in constitutional context. I might have just spouted it out, and then said, well, not really. But I've never actually called for a trial of treason, because that's the only thing lined out in the Constitution, and it is extraordinarily serious. And I have to tell you, on Friday, and I still believe it today, I said, if what Pam Bondi said is true, then why isn't Pam and the FBI and the DOJ walking up, putting every single person in the FBI in handcuffs, and then sorting it out? Who did what? But they cannot be with the files of any case. They have all the big cases, So they're sitting there with the cases. You accept the resignation. This was treason. This was treason. You cannot have, it was rebellion. It was one part of an agency trying to thwart and stop the other part of the agency, when the other part is the command. It's the head of that. That's rebellion. That's revolution. That is treason.
But it makes it feel unserious, almost that we've forgotten what we're really talking about. We are talking about minor victims being raped and trafficked. We're talking about the worst crimes against humanity committed by presumably some of the most powerful people in the world. And when she fails to take that kind of action, it seems that, well, is this just a meme? Is this just something that she was doing as a publicity stunt? Because that takes away from the severity of what actually occurred.